Hello, everyone. Welcome to Barça News. It is March 25th, 2026. And ladies and gentlemen, Real Madrid have done it again. Once again, getting away with a double standard. Also, Barcelona are set to miss out on a Benfica starlet that they were targeting. And finally, the club are considering bringing back Jean Virgili. We have a lot to discuss. So let's begin. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the channel. My name is Boo. And as you might know, I'm still away from home. I'm currently in London, so I'm away from my studio. Therefore, I cannot film, edit, or post. This is why I've been doing these short lives just to bring you all the Barcelona news while I'm away. This is not a podcast, so unfortunately, I will not be able to react to your comments. Anyways, let's dive right into the news because, ladies and gentlemen, Real Madrid have gotten away once again with a double standard in La Liga. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, during that last match right before the FIFA international break, Real Madrid defeated Atletico de Madrid 3-2. And during that match, Valverde was shown a direct red card for a kick from behind against Alex Baena. Now, Real Madrid appealed this decision, and even though the what do they call the committee? Whatever. The committee decided to uphold the suspension. They only gave Valverde a one-match suspension. Now, why do I say this is double standard? Because I think it was a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, Jean Virgili committed the same exact foul, a kick from behind against an opposing player where the ball was in play, but it wasn't close enough to where you think that you could dispute the ball. And he too was shown a red card. But guess what? Jean Virgili received 2-day suspension for the same exact foul. Several weeks before that, Sunset, same exact foul. A kick from behind while the ball is being played, nowhere close to taking the ball away from his opponent. Shown a red card. Guess how many matches suspended? 2. Same exact foul. Sunset gets 2-match suspension. Virgili gets 2-match suspension. Valverde gets 1. And this is the double standard that I'm talking about. And of course, Valverde, this is the same guy who punched Alex Baena when Baena was still at Villarreal. Looked for him after the match in the parking garage, punched him right in the face. And not only was Valverde not suspended, there wasn't even an investigation open into it. This is the same player who did this in a Benfica match. Punched a player in the face. Nothing. No red, no suspension, no yellow, not even a foul. Are we surprised at this point? Are we surprised? I mean, this is the same CTA. These are the same referees that allow Vinicius Jr. to call referees a son of a bitch. To say, hey, you're crazy. Say, oh, you're high. They allow Vinicius, they took away a red card from Vinicius for punching a player in the face, but saying, oh, well, it was justified because he called him something racist. These are the same refs that allow Vinicius to insult other players, to insult other coaches, to insult the fans from opposing teams. And yet when someone says to him, all kinds of investigations are open. These are the same refs that allow week after week penalty kicks for clear dives by Mbappe and Vinicius. And when they don't award the penalties because they realize it is a dive, they don't even show them yellow cards. So at this point, we know that this is happening. So I'm no longer blaming the CTA or the Royal Spanish Football Federation. They've been doing this week in and week out since the invention of football in Spain. The problem is with the clubs. Because how long are these clubs going to continue to put up with this? How many times is Laporta going to give statements instead of doing something about it? It's about time that these clubs get together and do something. Come together, have a meeting, and then go together as a united front and complain with the Royal Spanish Football Federation, complain with La Liga, complain with the CTA. Enough is enough. Why are these clubs putting up with this bullshit every single week? I will not get it. And at this point, I'm not even mad at the CTA or the Royal Spanish Football Federation or La Liga. They've been doing it since they were founded. I'm mad at the clubs who refuse to do anything about it. Anyways, let's move on to the next bit of news because we do have bad news in Barcelona's efforts to identify and sign young emerging talent, because Barcelona will be missing out on one target that they were considering for or tracking for quite some time, who is Daniel Banjaki. Now, Daniel Banjaki is someone we talked about in previous videos, 18 years old, a right back currently coming up through the academy of Benfica. He really shined in the under-17 World Cup, where he won that World Cup with Portugal. And in fact, he was named the best right back of the tournament. And since then, of course, he's been garnering a lot of attention from many European clubs, including Barcelona, who have been trying to sign him for quite some time. And of course, Mourinho, seeing that Barcelona were trying to sign Banjaki and seeing that other European clubs were interested in Banjaki, he started pressuring Benfica to renew him. He also started pressuring the player to renew by promising him first team minutes, by including him in training with the first team. And while it looks like Mourinho's efforts have paid off, because it seems that Daniel Banjaki will be extending his contract with Benfica until 2031 with an 80 million euro release clause. In other words, no Banjaki, because the whole point of signing people like Banjaki is to identify young emerging talent and sign them on the low, not for 80 million euros. Anyways, let's move on to the next bit of news, because speaking of young, promising players, Barcelona are considering bringing back Jean Virgili. Now, as you know, Barcelona want to sign Marcus Rashford for that left wing come the summer transfer market. However, they're not in favor of paying the 30 million euros in his contract, the option to buy worth 30 million euros in his contract. Manchester United are refusing to negotiate. They're like, you either pay the 30 mil or bye-bye. There's no another loan. There's no payment plans. There's no reduction. There's no negotiations. You either pay the 30 mil or he's coming back to Manchester. And well, Barcelona are now considering other options. And one of those options is to bring back Jean Virgili, the 19-year-old left winger who left last summer to Mallorca. And at Mallorca, he's impressed with his pace, with his dribbling, and with his direct style of play. So much so that he broke into Spain's under-21 national team, where he has scored 2 goals in 2 matches thus far. Now, Jean Virgili's release clause is worth 30 million euros. However, Barcelona own 50% of the rights of the player. In other words, they can sign him for 15 million euros, half of what Marcus Rashford would cost. But of course, we're talking about a 19-year-old kid with no experience who would cost half, as opposed to Marcus Rashford, who would cost double, but plenty of experience. So my question to you is, would you sign the inexperienced player for half or the experienced player for double? Me, I've always said I prefer someone younger, because Rashford is the same age as Rafinha. It doesn't make sense to have 2 left wingers who are the same age, who are going to age at the same time, or you're going to have to get rid of at the same time. I would prefer to bring someone young who can learn and develop, while Coutinho can be the starter. Then eventually, when Coutinho is old, the next young player, maybe if it's Virgili, he can become the starter. And then you only have to replace Coutinho versus having to replace Coutinho and Rashford once they get old. But of course, I want to hear you guys' thoughts and opinions. What do you think about Jean Virgili coming back to the club? Let me know down below in the comment section. Now, speaking of signings, Real Sociedad's goalkeeper, Alex Ramiro. Oh, I forgot real quick. These were the statements of Jean Virgili, by the way, when asked about the possibility of coming back to Barcelona. He said, well, if Barca were to call me, it would be difficult to say no. In other words, hey, you own 50% of the rights of the player. He wants to come, so it's all set up for you. It's just about deciding on Rashford or Virgili. Now, let's talk about Alex Ramiro, now that I covered his things, because, of course, we talked about Alex Ramiro a few videos ago. He is the 30-year-old Real Sociedad goalkeeper whose contract expires in 2027, which means he will be entering the final year of his contract this summer. And Deco met with Ramiro's agent to try to see the possibility of signing him as a second goalkeeper, since Wojciech Szczesny will most likely be leaving. And well, this is what Ramiro had to say about those rumors. I've heard a bit about it on social media, but right now I'm completely focused on Real Sociedad. We have a Copa final, and we are very focused and excited to win it. Barca, you never know. I don't like that. I don't like that you never know, because that usually means that, yes, something has happened. Otherwise they would say, no, Real Sociedad, and that's it. This is what I want to be. And of course, I'm not hating on Alex Ramiro. He's a great goalkeeper, but is that what we really need to be signing. I mean, we have Joan Garcia, Ter Stegen's coming back from loan, Jakobishvili's coming back from loan, Astralaga's coming back from loan, Iñaki Peña's coming back from loan, Diego Kochen is on the bench. Wojciech, they're saying he's leaving, but technically he has a contract till 2027. I mean, we're going to have 7 goalkeepers come this summer. Do we really need an 8th? Anyways, let's end today's video with some statements by Pep Guardiola, who had the following to say about Hansi Flick's Barça. Whenever I have the chance to watch Barça, I do so with interest because I find it entertaining. It's a Barça that makes you enjoy yourself, and when you sit down in front of the television, you know you're going to have a good time watching the team. Now, why do I bring up these statements? Because a lot of times talking to people, I realize something is that many Barca fans do not understand what Barca DNA is. You ask them and they say things like, oh, tiki-taka, ball possession, short first touch passes, things like that. And that's not it. That's the wrong answer. Barca DNA is pretty simple. It's playing intelligent, beautiful, fun football. That's it. Where it's not only important to win, the how you win is just as important because it's all about playing entertaining football. Because after all, sports is entertainment. And nobody wants to watch a team park a bus and just send long balls in hope of a counterattack because that's boring. That's not what Barca DNA is. Barca DNA is about playing entertaining football. And while Pep Guardiola, by saying that he enjoys watching Flick's Barca because it's entertaining, in other words, he's saying Flick's Barca has the Barca DNA. I hope that clarifies things because a lot of people seem to think that Barca DNA is tiki-taka. It's not. Tiki-taka is just one way, one tool to achieve the Barca DNA, which is to play entertaining football. That is all, ladies and gentlemen. I did go live a few moments ago. If you didn't see that video yet, make sure to check it out. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment, and as always, peace, Barca.